Hey y'all, how you doing? Today we're going to be looking at Node 21, the latest version of the Node, and we're going to be seeing the features that it has to offer. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Um, Here we are on the official release side of the Node 21, the release announcement, and we're going to be following along the notable changes that are inside um, the Node 21. So we have a stable fetch API and web streams. So apart from the fetch which came in the Node 18, which was experimental, which came in as an experimental, I mean, you could still use it, but with the experimental support. And a lot of people were afraid, like maybe it will not be available in the upcoming versions. Maybe it will be removed because it's just experimental, but now it's a stable one and we can use it without any hesitation. Um, and then there is also web streams that is available as well, along with the fetch API. And then another thing that intrigued me is the WebSocket client that is built into it. And this is an experimental browser compatible WebSocket implementation arises with this release. All right, this is experimental, but this is an interesting thing that is gonna be like it is. We needed to like import another socket library, but now we have this thing like built into it. I'm gonna be digging deep into it, but for now, I'm just gonna see the major updates that the Node 21 is coming up with. Um, and then there's a support for globes in the Node.js test runner. All right. So with the latest Node.js update, the test runner introduces support for globe expressions when specifying the test parameter. This means you can now use the most used powerful globe patterns to run test more efficiently and flexibly. For example, you can execute test for all files with the test.js extension across multiple directories using a command like node test. All right. So if you have test files like in multiple directories and you want to test them out um, through the node itself, then you can simply use that command, and it node's test runner will go through and run all the tests for you. This is very interesting. So I haven't been using the node's test runner. I have been using just for the unit test, but I'm gonna go check that out as well. So this looks interesting. Then we have the module customization hook. Global preload removed. Use register and initialize instead. So these are some of the changes that are being occurred to the global preload, which is like removed and is replaced by register and initialize. The module customization hook global preload has been removed. Instead, use register to send data from the application thread to customization hook and the initialize hook to establish a communication channel between the threads. Once again, I've never used that, but I will be looking that up in detail. It's just contributed by someone. Okay. Add flush option to fs.write file function. When writing to files, it is possible that data is not immediately flushed to permanent storage. This allows subsequent read operations to see tail data. This PR adds a flush option to the fs.write file family of functions, which forces the data to be flushed at the end of a successful write operation. Right. I think we didn't have that before. The I mean there was a need for something like this. Like I was writing a file and it was not returning any data at the end of the file, so we couldn't see which data is written on the file. But now, I mean, it's flushed at the end of the successful write operation, so we get the data back after a successful write. So I think this is pretty much a useful function. And then there's a performance improvement. Um, Performance is an important attribute of our runtime, and our Node.js performance team has been working hard over the last year to make improvements. URL fetch streams. Okay, overall performance has been improved. And then there's a Node.js streams team keeps on optimizing writable and readable streams in this version. Streams maintainer Robert Nagy led an effort to further optimize stream by removing the redundant chunks, utilizing bitmaps and scheduling callbacks in a more efficient way. All right, the streams have been improved. In HTTP, previously when writing to a chunk response, Node.js would create a separate chunk for each call to .write, regardless of whether the response was correct or not. This leads to unnecessary overhead, both on the client and server side. This change fixes this by creating a single chunk for all the calls to write when uncorking the response. Consider the following example based on the transfer encoding docs. Well, all right. Okay, so this is like you are responding back in chunks rather than response.send, like where you actually send an entire response at one, but you are sending in chunks, and you can use the .write. All right, so at the beginning of each chunk, you need to add the length of the current chunk in the hexadecimal format, followed by, all right, and then the chunk itself followed by another. The terminating chunk is regular chunk with the exception that its length is 0. Okay. So there's Mozilla developer network. So it will result in a response stream. So we need to be listening to this stream in order to get this response. After the PR, everything is combined in a single chunk when uncorking the response, bypassing a lot of unnecessary overhead. Okay, this is another thing that's in the Node 21. Strict mode enforcement. There are some strict mode enforcement in the 9.12. Strict mode was not enabled by default. With the latest update, all settings that were previously included in strict mode are enabled by default, enhancing code reliability and security. Okay, so this is another like thing, the strict mode coming into the node as well. Object integration, enhancing web interoperability. Now developers can access hardware concurrency information through Navigator hardware concurrency. Okay. All right. So now there is another object, a native one, that has been integrated in Node 21, and that's a Navigator object. And I believe it has something to do with if someone is making a request to a Node API, and then we can access hardware concurrency information through navigator.hardware concurrency. No, I guess this is somewhat to do with the hardware that the node is running on. We can get the hardware concurrency of that one, but once again, need to dig deep into it and see what exactly it does. Maybe we're gonna check out this PR right there. So, and then there are a few deprecations as well. Lib, util, I don't know. There are not many details to it. All right. All right. So that's it. This was Node 21. I think the important changes that are here are the stable fetch and web streams, and the most essential one, which I think will be very helpful, would be the WebSocket client. And then this test runner thing, I'm not sure about it, but it looks very promising and useful, but I just need to go ahead and test it out. Maybe in the next video I will cover this section up, but and also I will be covering this WebSocket in detail in the next few videos, so stay tuned. And I think these two are the important like elements that are being one is the fetch API web streams that are those have been made stable. Another one, WebSocket, that's been like built into the Node.js now, at least for now experimentally, but hopefully it will be stable in the future releases as well. So I'm gonna be covering that all in the details. So please do stay tuned so that you can um, get all the latest on the Node.js stuff that I will be covering in the next video. So until then, it's a goodbye. See ya.